stank.
Recently, and for no reason at all, I can't shake the feeling that things are kind of terrible. Like, for all of human history, people have been decrying the current state of things, longing for the days of old, but it kind of feels different this time. Like that glass that's been close to the edge all evening just got bumped, and now we're all just watching it fall. Nothing left to do now but watch. With this sense of lingering dread, I did what I usually do when I'm trying to zone out and turn to video games. Rather than the usual From Software, Kingdom Hearts, or Resident Evil game, this time I wanted to try something new. I'm not the only one who feels that the AAA scene is kind of lacking these days. For over a decade now, they've been kind of missing that creative spark that comes from a passionate team of nerds excited to make something cool, instead trading that in for the safety of a corporate boardroom. Teams that used to make games they wanted to play because they loved the medium are now forced to follow the guidance of shareholders, focused purely on squeezing the most amount of cash out of their player base as possible. Less moving emotional narrative and novel gameplay experiences, more live service and battle passes. So this time, I finally went to where those in the know have already been for years, and I tried out a few free-to-play games on itch.io. Searching through the games, I stumbled on a few that caught my eye, and it wasn't until after playing them that I realized what they had in common. They all heavily featured death as major themes. Now, whether this is a coincidence or subconsciously I was seeking out experiences as morbid as my current outlook, I can't say, but regardless, I found these games to all be interesting or moving in some way, so I thought I'd share what I found with you. It should go without saying, but this video features games with some dark moments in them, so if you're particularly sensitive to any of the things I'm showing on the screen right now, I understand if this is a video that you might want to skip. Also, I'm going to spoil the hell out of these games, so if a game I'm talking about sounds cool to you as I start talking about it, pause the video and click the link for it in the description. These can all be played for free and can be completed in like 30 minutes or less. So with that intro out of the way, let's jump in with... The Keeper starts with the player character crashing his boat into an island with a lighthouse on it. Normally lighthouses are kind of designed to keep that sort of thing from happening, but this one was unlit until it was too late. Having marooned yourself here, there's nothing else to do but go give whoever maintains this place a piece of your mind. Hopping the fence to find a beautiful garden, you spot a note from what must be the child of whoever lives here. Whatever, just because you have mouths to feed doesn't mean I don't expect reimbursement for my boat that's currently wrapped around a tree. Heading through the garden, we spot a figure walking up, but just as we start laying into them, they disappear. Maybe that crash damaged more than just the boat. Exiting the garden, we find the old cabin these people live in. But before we can add breaking and entering to our trespassing charge, another figure says something behind us before disappearing again, this time having opened the door to the shed for us. After appreciating the interior design, we grab some bolt cutters and have a look around the yard. This gives us some clues as to what the deal is with these people. The first thing we spot is a gravestone attributed to Jessica Cohen, leading our character to comment that it sounds familiar. We also find a couple of notes, one from that kid again, lamenting the fact that they can only communicate with their father through these notes, and calling the garden Mom's Garden. The other note is addressed to the father from the kid's school. She's been acting out, but the main piece of information that matters here is the school acknowledges that the family's been going through something. We've stumbled across some puzzle pieces, but we'll need to explore more before we can put them together. On the dock, we use our bolt cutters to open a tackle box, holding the key to the house. Inside, we see a lit fireplace, holding an item just out of reach. On top of the mantle, we find another note from the daughter asking to spend more time with her father. The other side of the room holds a concerning note from an Andrew Cohen and a clock we immediately break. Exploring the house a little bit, we find some water and a bucket to put it in. Using this, we can grab the item from the fire, a pry bar, that gives us access to the daughter's bedroom. Here we see a vision of the daughter asking to go get flowers, alluding to the notes we've been finding about the father and daughter working on the garden together. We also get another note which confirms our suspicions that the mother is dead. Apparently the father hasn't been taking it well, which has led to him neglecting his daughter, a scenario that's sadly all too real when children lose a parent. More exploration leads us to what can only be the father's room, littered with beer cans and trash. We also see a dresser next to the clock, missing its pendulum. Using the one we found on the other clock, moves the dresser to reveal a hole in the wall. Inside is the body of someone who took their own life, next to a note saying, "Sorry, Jessica." It seems the father couldn't handle the emotions of losing his wife. But what does this mean for their daughter? Well, turning around, we also find a key which triggers the game's only jump scare.
It was all your fault.
Okay, so it's not Outlast, but it still got me. With the key, we now have access to the lighthouse itself, and another vision of the daughter climbing the ladder to the lighthouse. Grabbing the giant light bulb and following her, We turn the lighthouse on, discovering the unfortunate fate of the last occupant of the island. Reading her note, it turns out she took her own life before her father, having left it for him. Looking down, something strange happens. A boat that looks suspiciously like ours crashes into the island right where ours did. As we go to investigate, we follow another apparition of the daughter who calls us dad. Now the pieces are falling into place, as on the way out, we see some scenes of the lives of these characters leading all the way to Mom's garden, where we're met with...
Hey, you. What are you playing at? Why was your light turned off? You could have bloody killed me.
On my first playthrough, I wasn't 100% sure the character we were playing with was the dad, or if he was just some guy who stumbled upon this mess, but replaying the game, I read this note that I hadn't noticed the first time. The next game I played was called Death Trips. In this game, you play as an investigator named M. James, sent to inspect the most recent victim of the infamous serial killer, Lady Death. As the game warns you from the beginning, however, the murderer is still in the building. The game opens in the lobby of the hotel the killing took place in. The radio on the reception desk playing an ominous piano piece, but interacting with it just plays it in reverse rather than turning it off. Showing us right away that while things may be confusing and unnerving in this hotel, there's no off switch. We just have to push forward. Our only way to progress is to go up the elevator to our floor. There aren't even any buttons inside the elevator, again demonstrating to us that we're at the mercy of the hotel. It will show us where to go. The doors open on a pitch black hallway. Gathering every ounce of courage we have, we step into the abyss. No going back now. The final game I'm going to talk about in this video is called Dead Names. It takes place in a future kind of similar to Blade Runner in that humans have the ability to create robots realistic enough to be confused for real people. It opens with a character named Ash being interrogated by a detective named Maria. Ash has been accused of murder and the destruction of property, a charge they readily take responsibility for, stating that they did in fact kill them. This confuses the detective at first, asking if there was more than just one victim. Ash explains it was because they walked right past. Ash had been sitting alone when their mother walked past with someone who looked just like them, but from the past, a pre-transition version of them. Ash followed them, having not seen their mother in years, following all the way back to a home that was unrecognizable to them. It took Ash's mother a while to even recognize her own child, but when she did, she coldly turned and went inside. This version of Ash didn't exist to her anymore, so why engage? Ash turned to follow, but the android stepped in the way, not allowing the confrontation and taunting Ash as a reminder of what their mother had wanted them to be. So Ash dumped 7 bullets into the imitation before using just one on their mother. Detective Maria is pleased because this makes her job easier, leaving Ash to relive the moment alone in the interrogation room. This situation has more of an effect on Maria than meets the eye though. As we see when she gets back home, she has trouble forcing herself to go inside, smoking an entire pack before being able to enter, where we see what else but an android's son. It's made dinner for her, and all around acts like the perfect kid, kind, respectful, considerate, loving, a reminder of what her son hadn't been like in his final days. Maria's real son had died young of cancer. They had never gotten along, and Maria had hoped the android replacement would fill the void her real son had left, but it couldn't, and it didn't. Seeing this idealized replica just filled her with guilt, causing her to ultimately destroy the imposter. Leaving us with this final shot of Maria mirroring Ash, left alone in the interrogation room. In all forms, parental abuse and neglect leave everyone worse off, and no amount of technological advancement or psychological avoidance can replace the bond of a child to their parents. Pretty big tone shift at the end there, I know. That's what happens when you play a bunch of games at random and then put them all in the same video. I think Dead Names is a good note to end on for me though, as it kind of addresses something I said at the beginning of the video, where I was just playing games to sort of escape reality for a while. There's nothing wrong with doing that, and from time to time it can even be healthy to take your mind off things that are out of your control with a hobby, but it won't replace life altogether. I think a lot of us use video games as a way of avoiding the real world for a hit of dopamine, but at the risk of sounding like I'm grandstanding here, maybe today or tomorrow or this weekend, you could use this video as your sign to go out and do something you wouldn't normally do. Go to that game store you've driven by 100 times but have never gone in. Get back to that nature trail you had a good time at that one time. Smile and wave at your neighbor as they walk by. Nothing's too small. Just flex your human interaction muscles. You know what your limits are and what's too much for you. Just do something. I promise it'll make you feel better after. As for me on this channel, I always make promises about being more consistent, but in 2025, I'd really like to make that happen. My plan right now is to make shorter videos like this one to supplement the really big ones that take a longer time to make. I really don't like the long periods of silence I can go into, so I'm hoping that even if these videos aren't great for the algorithm or whatever, it'll at least give me an opportunity to interact with you guys. It really is the best part of my day when I get a notification from YouTube that somebody left a comment, because you guys are like actually really cool and nice, and I genuinely appreciate that. Anyway, this outro has been pretty sappy, but hopefully it evens out with the depressing games I talked about here. If you have any suggestions for cool indie games you'd like to see in a video like this one, drop it in the comments, and leave a like while you're down there. What the hell, it's right there. That'll do it for me though, so I'm gonna go play Metal Gear Solid 2 instead of leaving my house, because it's scary out there.